Hello everyone, this is Autumn Moon 93, and today is Memorial Day here in the United States of America, and it's been a difficult day, so I wanted to do something a little lighthearted, a little fun with this video. What do fairy godmothers, house elves, and hobbits all have in common? They are all in some way connected to real folk and fairy tales about the fair folk. So we can say that yes, fairy godmothers do exist, so does Dobby, and so do hobbits, at least in some form. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the fairy godmother for a minute. In Ireland, there is a fair folk woman known as the Ban Tighe or Ban Tighe. Excuse me. In English, that is the woman of the house. She is, well, she looks like a little grandmother. She is 1 to 3 feet tall, except she does seem to be getting taller and taller as time goes by. She's always a little bit shorter, well, she's always said to be a little bit shorter than an average human being. But the fair folk, they can pretty much do whatever they want. She has a round face, and she has gray hair, and she has rosy cheeks, really red rosy cheeks, and she likes to smile a lot, and she has a very warm disposition. She takes care of children and cleans around the house. At first, I think she was strictly associated with very specific family trees, specifically of the aristocracy, the upper class. But over time, she's becoming more and more familiar to people who are of the, I guess, more common class. Um, it's said now that she takes particular interest in single mothers with many, many children because she likes to take care of children and to look after the house. So I think that it is possible to invite a Ban Tighe into your house, but if you do, you should know that she will not leave, and she will stay for generations. She will stay for your children and for your children's children, etc., etc. She does not leave. She becomes part of the family, um, which might not be a bad thing, but if you don't want to have any of the fair folk with you for that extended period of time, then it's probably not a good idea to work with one of the fair folk that wants to stay with you for a very long time. Um, in order to welcome her to your house, and in order to keep her from feeling that she's being misvalued, you can offer her fresh strawberries. She really likes fresh strawberries, and fresh dairy cream, or one or the other. She will also take honey, which most of the fair folk will do, but her preference is fresh strawberries, and I like fresh strawberries. And if you grow fresh strawberries, if you grow strawberries um, in your garden, that's just perfect because it's a very good way of keeping her around and keeping her happy. And if you do want her in your house, it's a very good idea to have a corner of your house that's just for her. I think preferably in the kitchen or in a closet that is just her area that nobody's going to mess with. Um, and make sure that you keep her area clean, even if you don't keep the rest of your house clean. Keep her area clean, and she will help you out with the rest. Um, Unlike most of the fair folk, she seems to actually like if some part of your daily housework is left undone. That doesn't mean you go crazy and let your house go completely disgusting and messy. But say if you forget to, I don't know, forget to pick up the toys in the toy area, then she may go and do that for you. Um, there's even a story that one night a woman was going to go and tuck her children into bed, but she got distracted with some other housework that she had to do. And when she went to go and tuck her children in because she had forgotten, um, she saw that her children had already been tucked in and that their pillows were fluffed and that they were already sleeping. And she turned around to go out the door and she saw the back of uh, the little grandmother, the little woman of the house. I think that's just one of the cutest stories I've ever heard. Um, I think she's also one of my favorite of the fair folk. And not that there's anything wrong with any of the other fair folk. I just have my human preferences. I just want to make that clear so that I don't get in any trouble. I don't mean that any of the other fair folk are in some way. I don't mean to offend any of the other fair folk. Um, Also, I wanted to talk about her less less warm, more misunderstood sister, the Banshee or Banshee. I think we're all familiar in some way with the idea of the Banshee, the wailing woman who shrieks and then somebody dies. Um, that's not exactly correct. The Banshee, or the woman of the fairy hills, is most often associated with very specific family trees. Um, and she, unlike the Ban Tighe, she does not really um, interact with everyday people. She's associated with old castles and very old family lines. Yeah. Um, when she is part of a house, when she shrieks, it is as a warning to the occupants of the house that something bad is about to happen. Either she's noticed that there's going to be an intruder coming to the house, or there's going to be an accident that she knows about, or even that someone in the family is going to die. Um, and her wailing is, I think, one of the most horrible sounds that you could ever hear. In fact, it is said that the people who hear it suffer panic attacks, or they even start to look like they've aged, or some of them even like die of stroke or heart attack. It's 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 a really really disturbing sound. Um, so if you don't have a banshee in your family line, you probably don't want one. But if you really do want to work with her for whatever reason, for protective reasons, just to have that warning available to you, then uh, she will stay in your family for generations and generations and generations, just like the Ban Tighe will. Um, Excuse me if the computer moves. I have a puppy behind me. I always have my puppies with me. They just like to be with me, and sorry about that. Um, Hopefully they don't knock this computer over. Alright, so if you really do want to have a banshee in your family, um, she appreciates cream, fresh dairy cream, and honey, um, which most of the fair folk do. Um, I would not advise that you have her as part of your house, of your family, but if that's what you want, that's up to you. Alright. So I'm going to move from the fairy godmothers, who are really, they really seem to me to be more like ancestral spirits because of their relation to one family. Particularly the banshee, because she is said to look like a a general female human being, just like any other woman, except that she's kind of ethereal looking. Some say that she's like really ugly to look at, but most of the time she looks like an average, normal um, human woman. So I think she might actually be an ancestral spirit, and that's what I think of when I think of the fairy godmother, the fairy godmother that takes care of a particular family and um, looks after the children, looks after the house. All right, so now I'm going to talk about Dobby the house elf. There really isn't such a thing as a house elf, but there are such things as brownies and hobs and domovoy, and let me see what else I have on my list because I'm forgetting. Um, domovoy, the hob, the Missouri monster I want to tell you about. Um, this may be a part one, and I may have a part two to this video because I seem to be going on and on. um, Let me see, the Hob, Missouri Monster, Ban Tighe, Banshee, the Shoemaker Elves I will get to um, in relationship to the Hobbits. Um, oh, I've got a lot of these. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave some of these for another video. So I'm going to talk about the Brownies, which are Scottish and English in origin. You've probably heard of them. I think they're becoming more and more popular in the pagan community. They are generally male, and they are little fair people, little people. Um, they're they're variously 3 to 4 feet tall, um, depending on what they do. They tend to work with farmers and with livestock, but they are also good keeping the house. But most of the time, it's to do with stuff that is outside your house, but still part of the home. Um, they will do. I think sometimes they will do gardening, but they're normally associated with farming, like big crop farming. Um, they are little men, and they either have really dark or light brown beards that are really long, or they have hair all over their bodies. So they're very hairy. Um, and other than that, they look like people and like human beings. They have humanoid form, but they're short. They're small, and they're really hairy. And also, it says that they might have a smell. It is said that they might have a smell. Um, and they seem to be not very polite. They burp and make all kinds of bodily noises. um, yeah. uh, they're fun. They can be fun, and they're very hard workers. But if you tick them off, if you do anything to insult them at all, they are very quick to retribution, and they can make a mess for you. They can spoil your food. They can cause your crops to not go very well for you. They can really mess around with things in your house and mix things around so that you don't know where certain things are, and they tend to know what items are very important to you. um, so they might do something like that where they take some item from you that was important and place it somewhere where you can't find it. They can be very mischievous. Um, but in general, they are very hard workers and they will work around the house for you. And they tend to be either dressed in tattered clothing or completely naked, but they're very hairy, so I guess they really don't need to wear clothes. And I think that's related to the idea of Dobby, um, and the idea of being presented with clothes. If a brownie is presented with new clothes, they get very, very offended and they will leave you and they will never come back. Ever, ever, ever. They're just gone. So if you present them with new clothes because they're naked, or you think that their clothes is, tattered and old and whatever, they will not take that very well. They will not be happy, and they will leave. So the idea of the house elf receiving an article of clothing and leaving the house is there. Um, I know that the brownies, they don't look very much like the way we see Dobby in the movies, but um, there are others that look more like Dobby and are very similar in nature as far as the article of clothing. And I think I'm going to leave it at that and start on a part two. I might have a part two up, not tomorrow, but maybe Wednesday, hopefully. Cross your fingers. We'll see. Okay, guys, so that's it for now. Um, Bye, everyone, and all stars shine on your paths.